Powered by Go-Goat Sports in partnership with TSN. It is episode 46, season 4 of the Dregs Hockey Podcast, and it is presented by our title sponsor, Canadian Club Whiskey. We've got Dave Nonis, former NHL general manager, joined us Thursday prior to Friday's deadline, and he's going to join us on the podcast again to look back at the deadline season it was, not just the day being Friday, but taking us all the way back to January. So looking forward to another visit, Ray, with Dave Nonis. And looks like as I see the comforts of your home, you're clearly back in Vancouver, and people can check us out on the YouTube channel as well. I wanted to ask you about the weekend because as I was doing my hard prep for the golf pool draft, which I did on Sunday, I'm on Saturday watching the ABC game. And there you are, and wondering. I didn't watch that closely. So we've all had a couple of games now to see Patty Kane in a New York Rangers uniform. You saw him up front and close. What was your takeaway, and based on what you've seen so far?
That looked like a team looking to find themselves again.
Oof.
Like that, I'm not surprised. Because you end up with a lot of guys that are used to having the puck a lot.
Yeah.
And are the players they are because they have the puck a lot. However, as Bill Burr would say, there's only one puck. And it looked off. Now, Again, the Rangers put themselves in this position by tight-roping along the salary cap.
Right, yeah.
And so now they have no lineup options. Keandre Miller was sitting out the third of his 3-game suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Lindgren is not injured enough to go on long-term injury, which is a good thing. However, they couldn't replace him. So they played with 16 skaters again. And it just doesn't work. It's like a bantam team. You look at the bench, and there's all kinds of room to sit there. Nobody's sitting shoulder to shoulder. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the Kane-Panarin together, I don't know if it works in today's game. Now, they played together 6 years ago, was their last game in Chicago. Just think of how the game has changed and sped up in those 6 years.
No kidding.
They both want to slow down and hang on to the puck and move the puck across the seams. The game goes too fast for two of them like that.
Yeah.
So I think they've got a little bit of a conundrum about how to play these guys. The power play couldn't look more disorganized. Now, they haven't had a chance to practice it.
Yeah.
But they've got a home run hitter in Mika Zibanejad that plays on the left circle. Next to David Pastrnak, he shoots the puck more on the power play than anybody else in the league. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. They now have him in the bumper position. And they have Kane and Panarin on the wings because that's where those guys like to play. Well, that's nice, but that's like taking your home run hitting first baseman and playing him at shortstop. It just doesn't look right. It doesn't fit. It's not right. And so they've got 4 days of practice before they play on Thursday. And my guess is that power play won't look the same when they come out of the 4-day break because I don't think the personnel will be in the same place. But it was not an impressive start for them.
No, I mean, obviously an ongoing chemistry experiment for the Rangers. Before we get to headlines, talk about a bad break, no pun intended. Ryan O'Reilly's such a nice fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Comes in the Achari O'Reilly trade from the St. Louis Blues, breaks his finger on the weekend. And the good news is if you want to look at the silver lining in any of this, it happened now. So it's not worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is it happens game 82 and you lose the guy for maybe a couple of rounds of the playoffs or more. But still, just a kick to the shins of the Maple Leafs. But, more to the point of Ryan O'Reilly, who's had more than his share of injury this season.
Right. Just when you it's amazing. Boy, just when you get going, if you're chasing the bus a little bit, which O'Reilly is because of his previous injury, and he missed, I think, 6 weeks with a broken foot. Mm-hmm. I got an idea. Don't get hit with a puck. That would be my first advice to him. But you get back, you start to feel good. Now you get you're in a new team, new city, and, he's going to adjust quickly because he knows Toronto and, certainly wants to be there and is a super important part of that team. But now you're shut down again. I guess the only benefit to this, as opposed to his broken foot, is he'll be able to skate.
Yeah.
That he'll at least be able to condition and keep himself on the ice. You won't be able to handle the puck, of course, because they've got to wait until the finger sets. But it's a brutal break. I mean, But you're right. The timing could be way worse. It could be way worse.
How about the world we live in, right? Where, the camera is always out. So, O'Reilly is wherever he was coming out of the tunnel or going into one of the many areas where the players can get to the glass or whatever he's doing. He's in street clothes and he's got the splint on his broken finger, right? And somebody in the stands, who's hanging along the railing, spots it, takes a picture of O'Reilly who's looking up right at him. So I can just envision this unfolding. Hey, O'Reilly looks up, snaps a picture, and it goes viral on social media, right? This picture of O'Reilly in his splint. So the Toronto Maple Leafs had to be pretty transparent with what happened, broken finger, seeing a surgeon.
Right.
They were kind of caught dead to rights.
The old upper body doesn't work.
That's not going to fly in this case. All right, we're going to talk to Dave Nonis about many things deadline related, including the improvements by the Boston Bruins. But I thought that's where we should start headlines today, Ray. The Bruins 10-0 in their last 10 games, on the cusp of 50 wins. And just as impressive, only 8 losses to this point of the regular season. In 62 games played, 103 points. I mean, I don't know why we should be surprised. I guess I'm not surprised given how there's been virtually no blip for this team. They've lost a couple of games, 8 to be precise, but they don't go on these 3, 4, 5 game, kind of skids or even mini funks. They just find a way to claw back immediately.
Yeah, I think it's really important, Dregs, when we look at the Bruins and their positioning and record right now to go back to September. They're coming into training camp. No Brad Marchand, no Charlie McAvoy, no Matt Grzelcyk. They're all out with off-season injuries and surgeries.
Yeah. And
the general consensus was, can they hang on until November through the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season till these guys get back? Or are they going to be too far behind that they can't catch up? Mm-hmm. I think they won their first 8 games. And that was before anybody came back. And then they had David Krejci, and who'd been away for a year, and he comes back. And I mean, David Krejci was not fast when he left. And so you're like, man, after a year, what's going to happen? Yeah. Well, he plays the game the same way as when he left. Mm-hmm. He isn't fast, but he's super smart, and he knows where to deliver the puck. And then they make the coaching change, and Jimmy Montgomery comes in. And I thought he did an amazing thing. He took a look at the Bruins' defensive game, and he said, well, why would I change any of that? Agreed. And he had Chris Kelly and Joe Sacco from the previous staff there. And so they just implemented or reinforced that defensive system. And Montgomery put in his offensive look to the system. And now the Bruins defense is far more aggressive up in the play. They've got all kinds of offense from the blue line. The other thing he did, and he did it kind of quietly, and it took 2 players to do it, was that he flipped David Pastrnak and Jake DeBrusk. Mm-hmm. And so he put the 3 Czech players together, Pastrnak, Krejci, and Zacha, and then he moved DeBrusk up to Bergeron and Marchand. Mm-hmm. Now, that could work or couldn't work. The personality of Pastrnak, though, he's in a contract year. It's going to be big money, and now he's moving away from Bergeron. And so all that's happened is he's got 43 goals. DeBrusk has had a kind of a reinvigoration. And so everything they've touched has been perfect. By the way, I came across 2 stats about Bergeron and Marchand. Because I said in the game on Saturday on ABC, I said, man, I don't know how long these guys have played together, but like how many minutes they've played together, but I don't ever remember them apart. this is impossible, so I won't ask you to guess. They've played 12,615 minutes together in their career in 14 years. 12,000 minutes. Every time Bergeron goes on the ice, 12,600 minutes, Marchand standing right beside him. Like, it is crazy to me. They've combined on 406 goals in their career. Ken Hodge and Phil Esposito have the most in Bruins history at 406. They're tied. They'll likely break it Thursday. Like, it is astounding. The continuity, the culture, we all talk about it in Boston, or in any team, but Boston is the example of it. They're really, it's hard to imagine them not winning, but that's sports. Yeah. They still got to play. You still can run into a hot goalie for 10 days, or somebody slumps. Everybody slumps for 10 days, and boom, you're gone.
Hard to imagine Bergeron retiring. But he might. He might. I mean, they win the Stanley Cup. He might say, hey, you know what? I'm going out on top here. That's as good as it gets. I mean, we know how long he took to make his decision last offseason. So
yeah, he's also making $1.5 million.
I know.
Like, after a while, you're like, wait a minute. This was really hard. And did I get, I got enough. So I don't know. I love watching him play. Yeah. He's one of my favorite people in the game. He just seems to do the right thing all the time. It's remarkable. I'm just so impressed with his Hall of Fame career.
Well, and another Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, Captain Obvious here, and that's Connor McDavid. 54th goal last night with another pair in what started out to be an entertaining hockey game between the Buffalo Sabres and the Edmonton Oilers. It was entertaining from start to finish. Nothing wrong with that game. Can he score? What do the Oilers have? Like 17 games remaining, something like that. So he's got 54. Do we even mention 70? Or is it like, how do you, he's more than capable of scoring 16 times in 17. I'm not going to say he's going to, but he's definitely capable. Is he thinking about it? Do you think that's what he's thinking about at this point? Among other things.
I don't know. Like, well, how would you not?
How can you not? That's my point.
I'm going to say no, he can't do it.
Okay.
I don't know why, because I think it's really hard, although he makes it look ridiculously easy, right? Like, the other thing is, because they're in the type of race they're in, Dregs, I don't know that he can, if they can look for him more. I don't know how you look for him more, but they can't alter anything trying to get him a few extra looks as a goal here or a goal there, right?
Right.
I think he's in 17 games, he's going to get 10. So I think he gets 64. Gee, what a terrible year. It is amazing to watch him night after night.
Yeah.
Just literally, I know we use this term more now. Oh, this guy's an electric player. Or
Yeah.
It just sparks out of him, electricity. He's an amazing player to watch.
Yeah.
And 2 more goals last. You're like, and are you even surprised?
No.
So he's got, in 6 of his last 7 games, he's got 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's in a peewee tournament. It's ridiculous.
Pretty tough team, pretty tough league to have success in, and he's just rolling along here. All right, speaking of the Oilers and teams rolling in the West, how about Minnesota? Let's throw Seattle and Vegas into that. All riding winning streaks.
Right.
And this Pacific Division, as we've just alluded to, is bananas, right?
Yes.
1 through 4 is up for grabs, and it'll come right down to the wire. At least that's the way it feels.
It does. So I watched Seattle and Colorado. I think was that Sunday night, Monday night? I don't know. Days all kind of run together.
Yeah.
Man, Seattle's fast and they're aggressive. And Grubauer gave them a really good game again in goal. That's kind of their one thing that you hold your breath on a little bit for them.
Right.
They don't. It's funny, they don't have outside of McCann. I think McCann's a good scorer. I like him a lot. But they they seem to get goals from kind of like all over the map, and it's been that way all year. Really, really an impressive thing. It's hard to do that. Seattle's been really impressive. Minnesota makes that trade in the summer. They got to free up some cap space, so they trade Cam Talbot for Ottawa for Philip Gustafsson. And the question is, how much can Marc-Andre Fleury play? And then Gustafsson's basically taken the net. He's been amazing for them. And then Fleury started to play well again. But the key to Mini is they reestablished who they are. And they're a hard team to play against. They're really aggressive. Kaprizov's a star. But I liked at the deadline, they went out and, like a guy like Oscar Sundqvist doesn't move the needle. He's a Minnesota player, man. He's thick and heavy, and he's hard to play. He's not very fast, but man, he's a good player. But I thought that was a really good move for him. We'll see what they get out of Klingberg. I mean, he's had a brutal year. Vegas gets quick, and, he wins his first game, and Barbashev gets a couple of goals against Montreal. And man, like, there's nowhere to go in that division. There's no, you can't take a back step, because if you do, you're going to lose 3 places in the division in a couple of days.
All right, well, let's wrap up headlines with that division and the Vancouver Canucks. And are we starting to see the results in a coaching change? And this isn't Bruce versus Rick Tocchet, because you do have to, give some credit to the other guys, right? Like Sergei Gonchar is a legit coach. Adam Foote has the playing resume and the experience that goes along with that. But the team, at least to me, seems to be playing better. I mean, they handily beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not a good night for the Leafs. They've got their goaltender, Thatcher Demko, back. So now until the end of this season, is it simply about playing the right way, which was the point of management, waiting for as long as they did to make the coaching change? So you do have, these good habits, right, that are created. So you get to training camp next year. And yes, there's going to be more off-season changes. We know that there are veterans that likely won't be back next season. But can we collectively appreciate and understand the process a little bit better now because of the way we're seeing the team play?
Well, I think so. They've got a number of people out of their lineup still. One of their trade acquisitions is Filip Hronek, and they're not going to have him for a little bit of time, I think. Whatever the numbers will tell us will help what your eyes tell you, right? I mean, that's the way the analytics and the numbers are supposed to work. And I think they would tell you quality chances are way down. Man advantage breaks are down. They're playing with more structure to their game, which way back, a year and a bit ago, when Jim Rutherford took over, he talked about they wanted to play in a different structure. And however long it took and however the road was that they got there, it appears like that's the case. I mean, that's what it looks like. Elias Pettersson is playing fantastic hockey. For those that don't watch the Canucks, man, this kid's back to where he was a couple of years ago. He's a terrific player. And I would say the knowledge that the coaching change was going to happen, once it got to be everywhere around the room and the team and the city, it's really hard to break away from that. And
it was a snowball.
And I thought it affected everybody in every which way. And so it's a clean break or a new start, if you will, but it takes time for it to show up. And I think they're seeing the benefits of it. I've looked at this, right or wrong, to any team making a coaching change late in the year and hiring not an interim coach, but the coach that they're going to have going forward, that this last part of the year is an extended training camp. So when they get to camp next year, it's not full teaching. It's like, let's get going. And we have our foundation in place. That's what I think these games are about for teams like the Canucks.
100% agree with that. Those are your headlines